Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Bramall Lane has just got underway. Sheffield United taking on Brentford, and Chris Wilder, a second game in charge, albeit he was appointed only a day or two before the game against Liverpool. So he's had a few days now with his Sheffield United squad, trying to prepare them for this game against Brentford. A home game that they'll see as winnable based on the fact that they played Liverpool in their first game with after Wilder's return. It was going to be very difficult against Jurgen Klopp's side. But against the Brentford side, who haven't been particularly good on their travels, who haven't actually had a particularly good start to the season, and who've got an absolute raft of injuries, this is a chance for Sheffield United to put their visitors to the sword. And they'll be trying to get a positive start here against the Brentford side, who themselves want to show something on the road. But here, Sheffield United have just been caught in possession, and it's Mopé trying to play in Johan Visser at the edge of the area there. The ball has been cleared away and back into midfield. The 2 11s for this afternoon is Wes Foderingham in goal for Sheffield United, a back four of Anil Ahmedovich, Jack Robinson and Austin Trusty. The 4 across the middle are Jayden Bogle, Gustavo Hamer, Vinicius Souza and Andre Brooks, with James McAtee, Cameron Archer and Will Asula as the attacking 3. As far as Brentford, it is Mark Flecken in goal, a back 4 of Sam Ghoddos, Ethan Pinnock, Ben Mee and Vitaly Janelt. The 3 in midfield are Frank Onyeka, Shandon Baptiste and Christian Norgard, with Johan Visser, Keane Lewis Potter and Neil Mopé as the attacking 3. Here comes Sheffield United now with an attack down the left-hand side. Trusty getting forward, and his shot takes a deflection and goes out for a corner. We're already seeing the first signs of the Chris Wilder style of play, with his 3 centre-backs. Certainly the 2 wide centre-backs liking to push forward. That's something that they were very well known for in their first jaunt into the Premier League under Chris Wilder, going back a few seasons. But they've won themselves the first set piece of the afternoon. It's going to be an in-swinger from Hamer going towards the back post. Just a little bit too much whip on that one there from Hamer in the end, and it goes right across everyone inside the 6-yard box before sailing out for a goal kick. The other games in the Premier League all goalless so far in the first few minutes. Brighton against Burnley, Manchester United against Bournemouth and Wolverhampton Wanderers against Nottingham Forest. Those are the other games that have kicked off at 3 p.m. Any goals going in those I will let you know. In the earlier game today it finished Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 2. Liverpool getting their winner just at the start of injury time in that game. Palace finishing the game with 10 men. But this is a great little run from Will Asula, getting towards the edge of the area. Couldn't quite get the shot away before the ball is cleared back into midfield. And then it looks like it's a foul there from Ahmedovich, bringing down Norgard. And it will be a free kick to Brentford just inside their own half. Just to remind you as well, the later game this evening, also available on our service, where it's the small matter of Aston Villa against Arsenal, of course. Villa looking superb at the start of this season against the Arsenal side, who aren't exactly doing badly either, so it really should be a fascinating game this evening. It's a 5:30 kickoff in the Premier League. But Brentford now trying to get on the attack. A quick ball down the right-hand side as the Bees. Look, it's Trusty that puts it out for a throw, and Norgard is preparing himself here for a long throw. He's got plenty to aim for inside the penalty area. In fact, just a short throw from Norgard in the end. Janelt now joining the attack on the right-hand side, going back towards Onyeka. Onyeka's ball into the box is quickly and easily swept clear, and there's a bit of a foot race on now. Shandon Baptiste does get there ahead of James McAtee before rolling the ball back towards his goalkeeper Mark Flecken, who has been under pressure this season. Mark Flecken, he's not had the most auspicious start for Brentford. It was going to be difficult following on from David Raya, but in so much that I think a lot of Brentford fans were expecting that he perhaps wasn't going to be quite as good with his feet as Raya was. But the issue for some Brentford fans as well is that he's just not been as confident in goal in terms of his goalkeeping decisions. Some of the attempts at claiming crosses and shot stopping hasn't quite been up to the mark as yet. But for the time being, Thomas Frank sticking with his new goalkeeper. And Sheffield United now trying to get on the attack down the right-hand side. It's with Bogle. Back into the middle here for Vinicius Souza. It's with Jack Robinson. Towards the left-hand side now, Vinicius Souza finding Andre Brooks. Back to Souza again. He thought about a long ball into the penalty area, just choosing to play it square now. For the time being, Brentford sat a little bit deeper as the ball goes towards the edge of the area. Good touch there as well from McAtee. Tries to tee up his teammate there, Brooks, but he was just a little bit behind Brooks in the end. And now it's Keane Lewis Potter rolling the ball back towards Flecken. Doesn't clear it long this time, just plays it short. But already the shenanigans are starting at Old Trafford. It's an early goal for Bournemouth away at Manchester United. Dominic Solanke, who's been in fantastic form this season. He's always been a sort of a forward with all the right traits and all the right skills, but just never really getting the goals, and that seems to be changing for him this season. He's starting to stack up the goals, and that's more pressure on Erik ten Hag, although the format seems to be quite standard for Manchester United these days against the sides who they're expected to beat at Old Trafford, sides from the lower half of the Premier League. They always seem to concede 1 or 2 early on, and then they come back and end up winning the game. They've done so already this season against Nottingham Forest and against Brentford, and it looks like they may have to do something similar against Bournemouth today. But here come Brentford now down the right-hand side. Shandon Baptiste under a bit of pressure there, rolls the ball towards Onyeka. Onyeka back to Baptiste. He was tripped, but the referee Stuart Atwell plays the advantage, and Baptiste carries on his run, getting towards the edge of the area. Godos then was brought down. Surely that was a free kick. Referee says no, and it's Norgaard's ball into the box. It was a left-footed cross, which was just a little bit under hit. And now Sheffield United have a chance to go on the counter, but the ball played forward is just a little bit too short there for Cameron Archer. He's now have it back here in midfield, and a chance now just to try and build some sort of attack. For the time being, they're just quite happy to hold on to the ball. It's with Ethan Pinnock to Sam Godos. Really is more of an attacking midfielder by trade, Godos, but he's been asked to fill in that right back role today. That's a very heavy touch though from Keane Lewis Potter, and then he commits a foul as well to try and make up for that. Brings down Cameron Archer. That will be a free kick to Sheffield United inside Brentford territory, but still a long way from goal. See Chris Wilder there on our screens. It was quite interesting to read the press release when he was appointed the manager. The suggestion was, of course, from the board that this was the best man for the job, someone who knows the club inside out. Of course, it's just one of those things in football that managers do get changed often. It's really and truthfully, Sheffield United did play very well last season in getting their promotion back into the Premier League. Just couldn't really keep it going under Paul Heckingbottom at the start of this season, and I think the board were probably prepared to give Heckingbottom a bit more time, but it was the manner of the defeat away to Burnley, and I think the fact that it was Burnley as well. Everyone's fixated on the fact that the 3 newly promoted sides have really struggled since the start of this season. So for Sheffield United to lose away to Burnley in the manner that they did, I think that probably was the final straw as far as Paul Heckingbottom was concerned. But he was, of course, very positive in his praise for the club after he left as well. He's another, just like Chris Wilder, he's another Sheffield United fan. So he certainly would have been very happy. Although I say that with Chris Wilder, he always felt as though there was more to come from him in terms of his time with Sheffield United. But getting back to the action here, we're at 8 minutes have gone. It is goalless here between Sheffield United and Brentford. No real danger of that scoreline being changed for the time being. In the meantime, the visitors just sat back here as Sheffield United enjoy a little bit of possession. And there's certainly no way for them to get forward for the time being. And then there's a quick ball down the right-hand side from Jayden Bogle, just missing the target. That's out for a throw to Brentford down there, left-hand side. So just the 1 goal in the 3 o'clock kickoff so far. It's an early goal for Dominic Solanke away at Old Trafford. Back here at Bramall Lane. Brentford playing out from the back here. Ben Mee was actually injured at the start of this season, back in the side now. He needs to be, really, with the amounts of injuries that Brentford currently have. It's over with Ethan Pinnock now. Just holding on to the ball. The ball now is back over on the left-hand side with Vitaly Janel. Just quite happy to hold on to the ball for the time being. Now the ball is played forward, but there was a bit of a foul there. I think Norgaard just left the foot in there on Andre Brooks, and our referee has spotted that. It will be a free kick. The rain is coming down at Bramall Lane for the time being. Forecast is supposed to be quite wet and windy for this part of the world today. As the game goes on, that may prove to be more of a factor as well, but of course the pitch you'd expect will be holding up very well. Modern Premier League pitches have no issue with this kind of weather. There have been a few games that have been postponed late in the Football League, particularly in League 2. A couple of late postponements for games that were due to go ahead today. Sutton against Harrogate, Mansfield against MK Dons, Forest Green against Wrexham, Bradford, Salford, and Barrow against Gillingham. I think a couple of those games were postponed earlier today, but a few others were only postponed in the last hour or so. You always hope that wherever the postponements are short notice, that the distance to travel isn't too far. I'm just looking at some of those games in League Two. I mean, you can't really get much further than from Gillingham to Barrow, almost on the south coast, right up to the very tip of the northwest. But back here at Bramall Lane, things really have suddenly. I've allowed myself a little tangent about postponed games elsewhere because you're really not missing much on the field at the moment. It is Brentford who've got the ball back, but it's all being a sort of bogged down in midfield for both teams at the moment. It's Wisser now playing it back towards Pinnock, and Christian Norgard. He thought about a long ball, but Sheffield United are prepared for the pace of the Brentford attack. They're playing a high line here as well, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for Brentford to try and play a through ball. But Lewis Potter is off down the right-hand side. He puts the ball in. It's a low cross, easily swept clear by Jack Robinson back towards the halfway line. Asula was there, but so was Pinnock. And Brentford now back in possession with Ben Meek getting a pass from his goalkeeper. From a Burnley man. Up towards the halfway line. The pressure there from two Sheffield United players. So the ball going back towards Mark Flecken. Now over towards Pinnock. There's pressure here on Godos. He was being closed down there by Cameron Archer. There's also pressure there on Keane Lewis Potter after Austin Trusty just literally crashed into him, and then the two of them hit the deck. But for the time being, it's just a free kick. I don't think there was ever any danger of that being a booking. Rain really is coming down hard, as you can see. Chris Wilder just trying to get some further instructions out to his players. We'll be concerned that although there's still plenty of time in the season, Sheffield United have got to start picking up some points from somewhere. The fact that Everton have had those 10 points deducted was a bit of an incentive for those newly promoted sides in trying to get out of relegation, but that's almost worked as a sort of rocket fuel for Sean Dyche's side, and they've actually played well since the announcement. But here come Brentford now with a bit more space down the left-hand side, pushing forward now to getting towards the edge of the area. He was brought down by Gustavo Hamer, and that's going to be a free kick to Brentford in a decent position. It was Frank Onyeka in a slightly more advanced role this time. And Hamer, a former Coventry man, he was trying to argue that there was nothing wrong with that. But I mean, it's a lazy leg stuck out there by Hamer, really. And as Onyeka goes past him, I mean, yeah, you could argue that Onyeka perhaps wanted to be tripped. He could see the ball was getting away from him, and there was a Sheffield United player just in front of him as well. So he figured that with that contact, the referee will spot that and he'll give us a free kick, and that's exactly what Stuart Atwell has done. And this is in a very good position. It's about 5-6 yards short of the edge of the area on the diagonal on the left-hand side. There's a line of 6-7 Brentford players trying to beat this offside trap that Sheffield United have set them. And it's going to be the Iranian international Sam Godos with the ball in. Lifts it towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's partially cleared. Drops to Baptiste, who was trying to set himself for a shot. Took too much time over that and had the ball picked off him. And in the end, Onyeka, the last man back for Brentford on the halfway line, he plays the ball back to Mark Flecken, who sends a long ball back over towards the left-hand side. It's headed out for a throw to Sheffield United. I think Lewis Potter was expecting a free kick there, maybe, or I don't know, or if he figured that perhaps there was a touch off the Sheffield United man. But it is Brentford now. It is Sheffield United now with the throw. Just looking across at the other Premier League games, another goal has gone in, and it is at Molineux, where Harry Toffolo has scored for Nottingham Forest. Must admit, I think I had that down as a home win today. I thought that Wolves would do okay against Nottingham Forest. Of course, they've still got plenty of time to do that, but for the time being, it is Forest to get the early goal in that game. Brentford now with Ethan Pinnock inside his own half, at the edge of his own penalty area. Pinnock going back towards Mark Flecken. And here comes Ben Mee now. Sheffield United aren't really pressing too high up the field, but what they are doing is they're congesting their own half of the field. So Brentford have the freedom, if you like, to get into the Sheffield United half and try something, but it's as soon as they get anywhere near the area that things start to get a bit more congested. Now Onyeka has found some space down the right-hand side, but the ball from Onyeka to Lewis Potter is substandard, to put it diplomatically. It's just always a little bit too short. And a comfortable save there in the end for Foderingham coming out to make the claim. He's just waiting now for his teammates to get a bit further forward. Clearance there from Foderingham. Must admit, I like to see goalkeepers like Wes Foderingham in the Premier League. I remember him playing years ago for Swindon Town. Maybe you won't thank me for this, for remembering this particular incident, but I always remember that incident where he was substituted after a couple of early mistakes by the, shall we say, charismatic Swindon Town manager at the time, Paolo Di Canio. And to go from that, Foderingham really had to climb the ladder, had some time in the Scottish League as well, of course, with Rangers, before now settling at Sheffield United, getting his chance in the Premier League. Possession stats for the first 16 minutes, 36% for Sheffield United, 64% for Brentford, but virtually nothing to speak of in terms of anything actually happening in front of goal. It's all been very much a midfield battle so far. Brentford looking a little bit more likely to get forward. They've had a set piece as well, but other than that, it's looking a bit threadbare. And Sheffield United now win the ball back in midfield. Chance for McAtee, but he runs straight into Vitaly Janelt. And Brentford now have the ball back here with Frank Onyeka over towards the right-hand side. Lewis Potter is taken out there by Austin Trusty, and that will be the first booking of the day without a shadow of a doubt. Stuart Atwell is across and immediately has the yellow card out there for the American. I'm not too sure that Trusty can have too many complaints about this, because to me the way he came across, it's one of those challenges that it always looks a little bit worse when it's a very, very wet day, because the slide just carries on that little bit more. But it was completely mistimed. He was never going to get the ball there, Trusty. And he's got to do a little bit better in that situation. Certainly would have wanted to have waited a bit longer with that booking in this game. There are some quick players in this Brentford team, and Trusty, he's going to have to be a little bit more careful now that he's had that booking. We saw the game earlier today where, I mean, Jordan Ayew got 2 yellow cards, and I mean, you can argue that neither of them was a booking, really. He stopped a quick free kick being taken, which these days doesn't guarantee you a booking like it used to. And then he literally put his hand on Harvey Elliott, who then hit the deck, despite the fact there was virtually no contact on him anyway. So for Ayew to get 2 bookings in that sort of way would have really frustrated Roy Hodgson. But certainly Chris Wilder can't have any complaints with the yellow card that Trusty got there. Brentford have now got themselves into a bit of a mess here by the edge of their own penalty area, and Sheffield United have been able to capitalise. It's good work there in the end from Andre Brooks just to try and draw the throw. And Brentford now having to defend here, as Sheffield United do have a throw on over on the right-hand side. It's Bogle getting the ball back in and trying to put a cross in. It's just a little bit too high for anyone inside the penalty area to deal with it. Archer still keeping the ball alive here for Sheffield United. Going back towards Trusty. Into the middle now here for Vinicius Souza. His pass is stopped though by Vitaly Janelt, and now Brentford trying to go on the counter here. It's with Neil Maupay. It's a really poor touch though from Baptiste. I don't think Baptiste, in fairness to him, was expecting the pass from Maupay. And now Sheffield United have it back. That's great skills there from Cameron Archie. He skips away from 3 Brentford players before going back towards Vinicius Souza. And then he switches play over towards the right-hand side. A bit of space here now for Jayden Bogle to join this attack. But he just decides to check his run and then go back into the middle. But spots a pass at the edge of the area there for Andre Brooks, who hits the deck inside the D, just outside the penalty area. Looks towards the referee. But unfortunately, as far as Sheffield United are concerned, I should say unfortunately, they've decided that there was no foul there. And the ball is now back with Brentford at the edge of their own box with Sam Godos playing it back towards Mark Flecken. 19 minutes gone now, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Bramall Lane. It is Sheffield United 0, Brentford 0. No change in the other games, so it's still goalless between Brighton and Burnley, and it's still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 1 after an early goal from Dominic Solanke, and it's also Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 1 after an early goal from Harry Toffolo. Here come Brentford now down the left-hand side with Neil Maupay back towards Shandon Baptiste. Baptiste playing it back towards Ethan Pinnock. Visitors are seeing a lot of the ball, but very little to show for it in terms of any kind of attacking threat so far. Down the right-hand side now with Lewis Potter and with Godos. Norgard there hits the deck after he was challenged. I mean, he's expecting an obvious free kick as far as he's concerned. The referee doesn't agree. The weather really is making this difficult to see, I think, for the players at times. The rain really is coming down hard. and it's making for a very slippery surface. Players' boots are like F1 tyres these days. They seem to have 6 or 7 different varieties depending on the weather conditions and the pitch conditions. But whatever they would be needing for the wettest day, I think this is what they need in this match. I've seen too many players with problems keeping their balance so far. That Sheffield United move came to nothing in the end. Just a quick ball down the left, and it lacked across into the box, and it's away for a Brentford goal kick. And I was always fearful of this game. I saw that I'd be doing it. I thought that it could be one of those games where both sides really go for it, because Sheffield United at home against a Brentford team that haven't really been on it this season. This is a great chance for them to sort of get another win under their belt and start the Chris Wilder era part 2, if you like, Mark 2. But on the other side, Brentford away from home, they haven't done too much away from home this season. They would look at Sheffield United as a team they could perhaps beat on the road, but so far it's not really working out for either side. They really are just cancelling each other out here in midfield, and it may well take either a moment of brilliance, moment of quick thinking, or, as is very often the case sometimes in these games, a mistake from somebody to actually give us the first goal, because right now we're struggling for even attempts on goal, let alone actually something hitting the back of the net. Sheffield United playing out from the back here now. Vinicius Souza going across to Jack Robinson. He was being closed down there by Mope, but Sheffield United do keep possession. That's good work. And then going through the midfield there was Andre Brooks. He gets brought down there by Frank Onyeka. Not sure that Onyeka can have any complaints about that decision. We'll see this again as he initially gets away from Baptiste, and then it's actually quite a clumsy challenge from Onyeka. Borderline yellow card, really, the way he stuck that leg out just to make sure that he brought down Andre Brooks. Jack Robinson now for Sheffield United to Cameron Archer. Archer's ball back to Jack Robinson. He was being challenged by Mope, and Mope has committed a foul in trying to win that ball back for Brentford. So quickly taken. Free kick here between Robinson and Ahmedovich. It's now on the left-hand side. Trusty's ball flicked up in the air by... it was flicked up in the air initially by Brooks, and it's taken down just at the edge of the area by Vinicius Souza, but he couldn't quite control the ball. Ben Mee gets in his way, and now it's played back to Mark Flecken, whose long ball is flicked on by Keane Lewis Potter. That loose ball may still be there for Frank Onyeka, and in the end he wins his side a throw on down the right hand side. He takes it quickly himself. Lewis Potter flicks that on towards Mope. That one's played out by Ahmedovich, and it's out for a throw to Brentford down the right hand side. Chris Wilder trying to get some instructions out to his players. Speaking, seen as one of the more sort of media-friendly managers. You know, obviously all the managers, of course, are very well media-trained these days, but Chris Wilder is one of those managers that tends to, you know, obviously he'll always have a bit of fun with the journalists, but there's also something a bit more honest and authentic about it. That's the way I always read the way he gives his interviews. It's also very difficult, I think, for managers when they're always asked a couple of days before the game about a match, then they're asked just before the match, then they're asked just after the match, and then sometimes they're asked the day after it as well. And sometimes difficult, I think, for managers to always be as sort of as witty, as snappy as they'd like to be, because sometimes they are just very, very frustrated by the result, and obviously the journalist can see that, and they'll be trying to draw something out of them as well. But say 24 minutes gone here, not much danger of there being a goal in this game so far. But Sheffield United now pushing forward, trying to change that here with Andre Brooks, and he has an overlap here down the left-hand side. The ball into the box, though, is charged down. Cross coming in there. Second time it's going to be Brooks with the ball in, but that's well blocked by Pinnock, and now cleared back into midfield. It's kept alive here by Robinson. Bogle now playing it back towards the halfway line here for Ahmedovich. Aaron Trusty. Brentford, are interesting enough, aren't actually playing a particularly high offside line. Sheffield United, when Brentford are in possession around about the halfway line, you can see the Blades pushing forward to try and condense their half of the field as much as they can. It's quite the opposite. Brentford are actually giving Sheffield United a bit of a licence to push forward. And just as I say that, Sheffield United are pushing forward, but the attempted ball there from Hamer doesn't quite reach its target, and then as Brentford are trying to play the ball away, it's actually been given as a free kick against the Bees here. Entirely sure what the referee spotted there, but we'll see from this replay as Onyeka. Onyeka, has he used his arm as he's hit the deck? I mean, the referee clearly pointed for a free kick to Sheffield United. Just looking at that again. the referee decided that there was a bit of contact. He had actually given it as a free kick to Brentford in the end. It was confusing because, I mean, as I say, he genuinely did point towards Brentford's penalty area. But here come Sheffield United now, having lost the ball momentarily. Brentford now have it back again, and it's played down the left-hand side for Janelt, back into Baptiste. Now it's with Norgard. Janelt holding this up, going back towards Ben Mee. And Mee now trying to just keep the ball here for Brentford. To Vitaly Janelt. Janelt now to Mope. Nice little bit of link-up play here. Janelt breaking into the box. He gets a deflection after that attempted pass across the 6-yard box. He looked to try and play a square ball. Didn't quite work out after the block, but he'll be very pleased to see that one has gone out for a corner kick at least. So Brentford now can put a bit of pressure here on Sheffield United from the set piece. See what kind of corner kick the visitors are trying to come up with here. Janelt now getting into the middle of the penalty area. And it's going to be an in-swinger here from Sam Ghoddos. Plenty to aim for inside the penalty area, Ghoddos. For the time being, he just lifts that one in towards it. Well, the Brentford are appealing. There was a penalty there. The referee hasn't given anything live, but now the referee has stopped play because of... well, in fact, no. Both sets of players, Brentford wanted a penalty, which the referee didn't give. They felt as though there was some pulling inside the penalty area when that ball was played in. Then Sheffield United wanted a free kick for a foul on their player Archer as he was trying to get forward. The referee didn't agree with either. And the ball now drops to Wes Foderingham. It still hasn't gone out of play, so we don't know whether VAR are checking this or not. In the earlier game today, it looked like there was going to... The penalty that was given for Crystal Palace was given after a bit of a delay. Now, we're seeing a replay. Whether or not VAR have asked for this to be looked at as well, I mean, there's an argument there that Pinnock was being held on to. But, as I say, unless you're Haaland and unless it's in the Manchester derby, then VAR tends to ignore all the pulling inside the penalty area. And now Ben Mee with a long ball down the left-hand side, headed back towards the edge of the area. And it's very nearly through ball there for Johan Wissa. Bogle does well, though, just to make sure that he gets the final touch off Vitaly Janelt. So it will be a throw to Sheffield United. Just looking at Thomas Frank now. He's got a very, very long injury list, has Thomas Frank, with a number of key players missing. And now Brian Mbeumo added to that list as well with his most recent injury. He picked up in the game in the week. In addition to that, of course, well, now we know that Ivan Toney will be back in the next 5 or 6 weeks. He'll be available for selection. Whether or not he ever actually plays for Brentford again is a different matter, of course. There's every chance he could be on his way in January. Sheffield United wanted a free kick there for a challenge on Archer. No free kick given. That is a strong challenge, though, and that will be a free kick. Souza was caught there by Frank Onyeka, and this will be a yellow card for the Brentford midfielder. Not sure that the Nigerian international can have any arguments with that, really, Onyeka. He can be a bit of a bruiser in that central midfield. Let's have a look here at this replay. Yeah, that's a bad challenge from Onyeka. That's a booking all day long. And the referee just checking this again. I'm not sure there was ever an argument to say it was more than a yellow card. But it certainly deserved a booking. And Onyeka is going to have to behave himself now for the rest of this game. Vinicius Souza still being checked over here. This is now being used as a good opportunity by the both sets of players just to have a bit of a... players just have a little bit of an impromptu timeout here with their managers. So you can see Vitaly Janelt having a quiet word with the referee as well. I think Brentford are still asking some questions about the penalty. But looking at that Onyeka one again, I mean, it's the fifth time that they've showed us that particular challenge, and now we can see Ben Mee. Well, now we are actually seeing the VAR screen, but it's got nothing to do with the Brentford penalty. That's already been and gone. What they are checking to see is whether or not Frank Onyeka deserves a straight red for the way in which he's stamped on Vinicius Souza. And I tell you what, looking at that, finally we're getting another reverse angle of this. I've got to say that this is I mean, it's the 15th time they've shown us this now, and I get the feeling that this could be a red card for Frank Onyeka. I mean, the referee's taking a very, very long time. Still hasn't quite made his mind up here as to whether or not... I mean, he hasn't even watched the replay yet, Stuart Atwell, so whether or not he's going to check this now, whether he's going to feel as though Onyeka deserves the red card. But, it is taking an awful long time here for Vinicius Souza to be checked over. And, looks like the VAR check has been complete. I must admit, I think he's got away with one there, Frank Onyeka. If I'm honest, I think that looking at that replay, and I'm not sure I can look at it again because it's been about 15 times they've shown us it now. But in all fairness, I think that the way in which he goes for the ball is late, and the stamp down on Vinicius Souza is quite, is quite pronounced. It's not like a little tread. He really has trodden down quite hard on Vinicius Souza, and he's caught him above the ankles. I mean, to me, that's all the boxes ticked for a red card, really. But no, for the time being, he's going to be okay to play on. Vinicius Souza hobbling around quite a bit, but he's off the field as well now and ready to come back on anytime soon. Ball now played up towards the edge of the Brentford penalty area, cleared by Ben Mee. Closed down there by McAtee. Vitaly Janelt into Shandon Baptiste. Gets towards the halfway line, gets stopped in his tracks there, Shandon Baptiste. And that's out for a throw to Brentford now, down the left-hand side. Janelt back towards the edge of the area here, and we can see Vinicius Souza back on the field now, but still with a grimace on his face. That was a strong challenge from Frank Onyeka, and I'm not surprised that he's still feeling that. The Brazilian midfielder, ball out for a throw to Sheffield United now on the right-hand side, just inside Brentford territory. Played back towards Ahmedovich. Ahmedovich with a short ball towards the left-hand side. Looked to me as though might have been a foul there, and it has been given as a free kick to Brentford. 33 minutes gone, but it's more like 30 really, I would argue, because we've lost at least 3 minutes for that injury to Vinicius Souza. Good to see him back on the field for the time being at least, and wait to see or not whether he can play. The full bench, by the way, for Sheffield United, it's Peck, One, Larouci, Ben Slimani, Thomas, Zericki, Traore, Lowe, and goalkeeper Davies. As for Brentford, it is Yarmoliuk, Damsgaard, Adukun, Pert Harris, Olagikbe, Good, Jorgensen, Roslev, and Strakosha. Those are the substitutes for Thomas Frank's side this afternoon. No change in the... in fact, there is a change. I'll take that back. There is a change in the scoreline at Molineux. It's now Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 1, and it's Matheus Cunha, the Brazilian, who's put that ball into the back of the net. He's having an excellent season as well, the 24-year-old for Wolves. Say a lot of pressure on Steve Cooper at the moment after that very poor performance from Nottingham Forest, losing 5-0 away to Fulham in midweek. And the fact that in the last week, that's twice now where the Forest manager's had to say that he knows the manager and the fans are behind him, suggests to me that he knows that perhaps it's being tested now. But here come Brentford now with Onyeka. Oh, it's a poor ball from Onyeka. He did well to stop the ball at the edge of the area, but then following that, he couldn't quite find the right teammate. He wanted to play a ball down the right when the pass through the middle seemed to me to be the far more promising option. It's now back with goalkeeper Mark Flecken. Ben Mee over towards the left-hand side. Back to Flecken again. And the goalkeeper thought about clearing this long. He just plays this short towards Ethan Pinnock. And Pinnock towards the halfway line. Finding Onyeka, very heavy touch from him. He says he's got to be very careful. He's on a yellow card now, Frank Onyeka. And any heavy touch, if he tries to win the ball back and just gets a little bit too close to an opposing player, that could be a second yellow. But this is a fantastic ball down the right to pick out Lewis Potter. His cross is over the head of Maupay, but it should still drop to Janelt down the right-hand side. Janelt under pressure, does well to win it back twice for Brentford, but then just can't quite get there ahead of McAtee, who then plays this one straight down the middle, trying to pick out Osula. Osula does well to hold it up, but he's dispossessed. That's good work from Onyeka, who then goes for goal himself, and the effort, whilst it's on target, is straight down the middle. It's an easy save for the goalkeeper. It's a chance now for Sheffield United to try again, trying to get forward. It's not really been a particularly good half for Chris Wilder's side so far. I think he would be quite frustrated that his team haven't really been put under that much pressure from Brentford, but yet despite that they're not really able to do too much themselves. Must be a bit of a worry as Flecken now with a ball down the right-hand side to pick out Sam Godos. That's a good ball from Godos heading towards the penalty area. Taken down by Onyeka now into Maupay. Maupay under pressure going back towards Frank Onyeka. He shouldn't be shooting from there. His effort is easily charged down and cleared back towards the halfway line. Ben Mee mopping up now for Brentford over towards the right-hand side. Easily dealt with there by Austin Trusty. And his clearance now drops to Will Osula, who needs a bit of support to try and get further forward. Archer was joining him just a little bit too late, though. Brentford now have it back here in midfield as Baptiste hits the deck, but he wasn't fouled. Play on, says the referee. Ball now played towards Osula, who goes for goal, and the strike is wide. It was an effort that he wanted to take on early. No issue with that. Went for the near post. No issue with that either, because we know that Mark Flecken isn't the best keeper when it comes to stopping his near post. But on this occasion, the effort from Osula, always heading away from goal. That's a warning to Brentford if they start dawdling with the ball too much. Sheffield United do have players who will go for goal quicker. I mean, I say they've just not really been able to create the chances in front of goal in this first half. With Ethan Pinnock. Now square to Sam Godos. There's a challenge there in midfield, and the referee gives the free kick against Maupay there. Brentford were actually hoping for an advantage because Maupay, in his eyes, had won the ball, but I think the referee had already made his mind up straight away that that was a foul on the Sheffield United man. Maupay still trying to argue the toss there with Stuart Atwell. Yeah, just a bit too much of his body there from Neil Maupay, crashing in on Anil Ahmedovich. Now a long ball played towards the edge of the area, taken down by Osula, trying to take the whole Brentford defence on himself. He wasn't quite able to manage it. It's cleared into midfield. This is Souza. Now to McAtee. McAtee towards Brooks at the edge of the area. It's on the left-hand side now for Sheffield United. This is Souza to Cameron Archer. Back towards the halfway line now. Robinson coming square to Hamer. On the right-hand side here, Hamer in towards Jaden Bogle. Pressure there from Brentford though. Sheffield United forced back towards the halfway line again. So the Bees really trying their best to just put that little bit more pressure on. Top, and that's too far. Osula isn't going to get on the end of that one. Easily away for a Brentford goal kick. So we can see now goalkeeper just waiting to start play here. Flecken, Thomas Frank, in the meantime, is making plenty of notes. Be hoping that his side can perhaps just show a little bit more thought in terms of getting forward, and they're trying to do that now with a long ball down the right hand side. Lewis Potter with an early cross in that's easily dealt with. Ahmedovich over towards the left hand side. Cameron Archer under pressure there from Sam Godos. Archer eventually losing the ball to Keane Lewis Potter, who then plays it back to Ethan Pinnock. The referee gives a free kick there for a foul from Godos, but he's taking a while here, Stuart Atwell. So there's a bit of doubt in the players and managers and supporters' minds as soon as the referee needs longer than a split second to make a decision. And Thomas Frank is asking the same question of Darren England, or Daz as he's known as in the VAR world. The ball now played back towards the goalkeeper Foderingham, cleared towards the halfway line. Now it's with Vinicius Souza. Nice quick turn there from Hamer. It does well to find the run of McAtee. And now it's over with Cameron Archer heading towards the penalty area. Back towards Hamer, who makes his early mind up to go for goal. He does go for goal, but tame effort in the end from Hamer. The strike heading a long way away from goal in the end. Midfielder, such a big part of Coventry City's drive to get to the playoff final last season. So it doesn't really surprise me at all that even though his club at the time missed out on promotion, doesn't surprise me that Hamer found his way into the Premier League anyway. Certainly looking very, very good last season. Hasn't had quite the same sort of impact, but of course it's always going to be difficult. Sort of time you have, the sort of defenders you're up against in the Championship, as tough and as ruthless as the Championship is, it just doesn't compare to the limited amount of time you have on the ball in the Premier League. As we can see Sam Godos there frustrated about giving a free kick away. And, Brentford now having to track back. We've got around 3.5 minutes to go before we hit half time in this game. Long ball now played towards the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Osula was there. So was Pinnock. Good clearance from him up towards the halfway line. Sheffield United, as always you'd expect, in their red and white stripes at home. Brentford, of course, would like to play in their red and white stripes, but they're in their away kit today. So it would be an identical colour clash. He's in their sort of multicoloured shirts, sort of with bits of grey and green, I suppose. I haven't probably given it a great sell, but it's quite a nice shirt, albeit that you're having to get very elaborate with the away shirts these days. It's not like the old days where it's just simply a completely different colour. Now, of course, they've got third kits, training kits. Clubs that are in Europe have had their own European kits at times as well. But for the time being, Sheffield United in their home kit. Here they go now down the right-hand side. Bogle was going to be played in, but that's a good challenge, stopping the pass from Vinny Souza. Now the ball played back towards the edge of the Sheffield United penalty area. Foderingham hits it first time. It was being closed down by Mope. Clears it towards the halfway line. Brilliant turn there from Archer. Got away from Godos, who's showing his lack of defensive qualities there, I think, Godos. Now there's an appeal for a handball from McAtee. And he points to his shoulder. I hit my shoulder, he says, towards the referee, and it's quite nice to see a footballer saying that to a referee without having to use any expletives. But the point is that I think he did actually use his arm. He's unlucky there. I'll tell you what, he's put his arm out completely at a right angle from his body, but the ball has actually hit him on the top of the shoulder. So he hasn't actually handballed it, although he almost had his arm out as if he was intending to, but the fact is he never actually struck his arm. So I can see why James McAtee was frustrated there. As we can see, Brentford's young Ukrainian midfielder, Yehor Yarmolyuk, just getting some instructions from Thomas Frank. It will be that we see the Ukrainian on in the second half, potentially for Frank Onyeka with that yellow card he's got, or indeed Baptiste, who's just not had a particularly good first 45 minutes. There's been virtually no attack to speak of for either side in these first 44 minutes that we've seen so far. It's still goalless, and getting word of a goal at the Amex, but it's not for Brighton, so I'll confirm that in just a moment once that goal, if that goal does actually go in. Back here at Bramall Lane, it is Brentford in possession. It's still a long way from Sheffield United's penalty here. Burnley have taken the lead away to Brighton. Potentially a bit of a coupon buster there as well, as here come Brentford now with the ball into the box. It sets up for Mope, and his strike gets a big deflection, and it's away for a corner kick. Well, Sheffield United have done very well in restricting what Brentford have done in terms of their build-up play for most of this half, for all of this half, I would say. A pass played down the left. Sheffield United were expecting an offside against Janelt. Janelt isn't offside. Keane Lewis Potter on the right was, but he never went for the ball, so the flag shouldn't have gone up, really. And Sheffield United, I think, were waiting for it. The flag never did come. And then the ball in from Mope after it takes a deflection, goes away from goal. And it is a corner kick to Brentford. It was a goal for Wilson Odobert, the French midfielder there, scoring the goal for Burnley. Away to Brighton. Brentford's corner kick quickly cleared up towards the halfway line. We're into injury time now at the end of this first half, and Darren England will be showing the board to confirm there's going to be 3 minutes. Most of that 3 minutes was for Vinny Sousa's injury. Not really been any many delays apart from that. There's not been much in front of goal at all, actually, in this first half. But Cameron Archer does really well just to roll away from Onyeka, turns away from Yano, and he's charging off down the left-hand side, gets into the penalty area as his run stopped there by Baptiste, goes back in towards the edge of the box, trying to play in Andre Brooks, but he gets dispossessed. Still kept alive here now for Sheffield United. Hamer going out towards McAtee, who goes for goal. Oh, what a strike that is! Absolutely superb, into the top corner. James McAtee from absolutely nowhere takes that ball at the edge of the area and sends a curling beauty into the top corner that, in fairness, Flecken didn't even move for until it was far too late. And with still 2 minutes of injury time to play in this first half, Sheffield United have taken the lead. Well, I made the point around 10-15 minutes ago that it's going to be either a mistake or a bit of brilliance that's going to get us our first goal, and it's the latter. It's a bit of brilliance, a bit of a mistake from Brentford in terms of their cack-handed way of trying to clear the ball from the edge of their own box. But when this gets to McAtee, he takes one touch, sets himself. It's a left-footed, pinged effort, top corner from the right-hand edge of the box. It's a fabulous strike from James McAtee, and I'm not surprised that Chris Wilder is wheeled away in celebration himself. He's absolutely delighted, and 80% of Bramall Lane will be delighted with this. The only people not happy will be the Brentford fans behind that very goal, where they saw their side concede to that effort there from James McAtee. And he looks absolutely delighted, as I say. So he should. It is a fabulous, fabulous strike from McAtee. And his side now lead 1-0. We're probably going to get an extra minute added to the end of this first half. James McAtee, the Manchester United player from Salford. On loan here to Sheffield United. He scored a 9 in 37 last season. He's got 9 in 12 so far this season, but that's a big, big goal for him. He's already played for the England under-21s as well. So Chris Wilder just turning to the fourth official, so I'm not quite sure if he was just checking something in terms of any additional time. That's a big, big goal. It's the first effort on target that Sheffield United have had, and goodness me, wasn't it a good effort as well? Fabulous goal from McAtee, leaving Mark Flecken with absolutely no chance. So now we've gone past the 3 minutes of injury time at the end of this first half. We'll see if our referee Stuart Atwell wants to add any more time. Brentford are trying to push out, but the ball has been cleared, and it's back towards the edge of the area. Played now up towards the halfway line. Here is Neil Maupay, does well to control that. And Onyeka now finding Lewis Potter. Potter breaking into the box, getting it onto his left foot, then teeing it up for Norgard. Norgard's effort is charged down, and it's cleared up towards the halfway line. Brentford were forward in numbers there, but just in the end, Sheffield United also back in numbers, and they didn't really allow for any of those shots to be taken cleanly. Norgard was closed down. It looks like we're going to get a full minute over the 3 that we were supposed to have. Ben Mee now with the ball for Brentford, playing it short to Shandon Baptiste. Baptiste trying a ball out on the diagonal towards the right-hand side, taken down by Lewis Potter, being harried here by Austin Trusty. But he's able to get the ball back over towards the left-hand side, where it's Yano advancing into the box. The goalkeeper, Foderingham, was already out, but it was partially cleared. It doesn't matter in the end. It was partially cleared by Jayden Bogle. But that's the last action of this first half. Stuart Atwell calling time on the first 45 minutes at Bramall Lane. It's been a tough game for both sides. Very few chances to speak of. And then in injury time, an absolutely fantastic strike from James McAtee. Sheffield United lead against Brentford by a 1-0. And I'm back in 15 minutes for second half off Tube Studio Commentary.